Donovan, how do you account for the slow start in the third quarter, and how big was that?
Yeah, it changed the game. Give them credit. They came out with a sense of urgency. And that's what's tough. It's tough to come back from that, but they came out with an intention on both ends of the floor, and it's really on the offensive end. But when they get going, that's who they are. They hit threes and three after three after three, and then you overhelp. Now you're getting layups, and now you're helping on the layups. That's where they get the threes. So that really changed the complexity of the whole game, and it's hard to fight an uphill battle. We fought and we clawed back, but that start of the third quarter that's what did it.
Joe, did this one bother you more than some of the other playoff losses?
Yeah, I think because a lot of it was self-induced. I think a lot of things we did wrong, and you give them credit. They played the way they have been, but I think we did a bunch of things. There were a bunch of things that we could have done better. Obviously, we got 36 threes. Offensively, we could obviously shoot a little better, but defensively, we held them to 106. But it just felt crazier than it felt crazy in the moment because of those spurts, and that's what I was talking about last game. Those little details, those little runs can change the entirety of the game. Because at the end of the day, we held them to 106, and that's not a bad defensive game against a team like that. But it's the key moments of when they get those points, the runs they get, and then not being able to score back on the other end. It just compounds and compounds. So I think that's what's the frustrating part of it. But it happens, and we gotta figure it out, and get ready for Monday.
Did you? And this isn't really you. I mean, your numbers were incredible tonight. But did you have the same discipline on offense that you showed in Game 2, team-wide?
I think there were some times where we tried to hit the home run. I think myself included. The first one I think of is a step back through that air bank, just because I'm feeling good. Don't need to take that shot. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at the aggression. I'd rather it be an aggressive mistake than a passive one. So now it's just get ready and figure it out for Monday. So I wouldn't say I'm disappointed or upset, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's aggression. And I'd rather it be an aggressive, mistake than a passive one, if that makes sense.
Chris?
Hey Donovan, the third quarter tonight, it's not just a one-off thing, it's happened throughout the course of the regular season. I'm not saying it's every third quarter, but it's happened a lot. Do you have a theory on why that continues to be a problem for you guys?
I don't, because there also been third quarters where we've done it. I think it's just, I think that's what got kind of going to Joe's point. It's disappointing because, we've shown the capability to come out and start the quarter off strong, and at the end of the day, we didn't do that tonight. We paid for it. We've played teams that, we played the Magic, who aren't really a three-point shooting team, so you can kind of get away with helping or, different letting drives, because now if they help, it's not as, not as good of shooters as these guys. So now when you have these moments, I think it compounds and compounds, and then it feels like the way of the world is, especially when you're at home. And they really did their job. They took the crowd out, and but at the end of the day, it's how do we respond back, and we didn't respond back, because we're going to make mistakes, we're going to have those moments, but how do we respond? And I think everybody's going to point to the third quarter, but I'm going to point to the beginning of the game. I think 9 of their first 17 shots were three-pointers, and I think those were all just mental errors. So now they see the ball go and they see attempts and they miss one. It's okay, they can adjust. And then you get to the third quarter, they're making them. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where I'm at the beginning of the game. We're right there, but they got looks that they didn't get, that we didn't allow them to get in game 2.
What did Dean give you in his first game in about 2 months?
It was great to have him back, man. He was in better shape than I thought. You know what I mean? To be honest, and that's a salute to him for that. He put the time and put the work in. But being able to play that 5 out with him at the 5, and for him to really step in and, like I said, not really be with us, and then to kind of figure it out on the fly, and I think that was huge. And we'll get some more work in obviously tomorrow and get ready for Monday. But it was great to have him out there.
Donovan, you mentioned that the defensive side, you own the 106, yet you guys still come up short. Is that a little demoralizing, knowing that what you were able to hold them to at all, and if not, what do you do?
I wouldn't call it demoralizing, just because you can't afford for it to be demoralizing. We don't have time for that. I think at the end of the day, we could do a better job defensively, and that's with the holding the 106. But at the end of the day, we didn't score. We didn't score when we needed to respond back, and we'll be better. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be easy. This is seriously not going to be easy. It's going to continue to fight and claw like we have been. And this happened, and my biggest thing has always been all years is how do we respond. At the end of the day, we have things we can clean up, and how do we respond on Monday? That's my biggest thing.
Tim?
You mentioned that a couple times about responding. I know that's what your team has been all year. What do you want to see in a response? Like, what are the specific things you're looking for?
I think, like I said at the beginning of the game, allowing them to get those looks, even though they may have missed them, I think that they weren't getting those looks in game two. At least they were contested, you know what I mean? And we did a good job of those throughout the game, and then obviously we had our lapses in the third or whatever, but, a level of consistency and a level of discipline as a whole, I think we did that in game two, and we showed what we can do, especially on the road. That's tough, to do that on the road. So now, we didn't really have those. We had them in spurts, but not the same throughout the entire game. So now, looking at the film, we got to find a way to be able to do that. On Monday.
And offensively, besides missing some shots, I'm sure you think you guys will make. Did they do anything to take you guys out of stuff you want to do, or are there specific things you're looking for to do better?
I just think we didn't hit the same amount of shots we did. At the end of the day, they guarded. Like I said, they've helped out me a little more. That way guys are open to different things, and for us, just being able to finish. We missed a lot of shots at the rim, myself included. Missed a lot of shots that I think we just gonna make. And also we didn't really shoot that great from three, but not a bad percentage. That we didn't shoot that well. So I think those are different things, and we gotta get our looks and take them. Because if we don't, we're driving it back into the crowd, and they want us to. So being able to take our shots when they're open.
Chris and Jim. Donovan, you mentioned going 5 out. There was another small ball lineup that you used as well. What did you like about those particular lineups for you guys, and how sustainable do you think they are throughout this series?
It was just off immediate. Like I said, I gotta watch it a little bit more, but I think obviously, like you said, it brings the space, level of spacing to the floor. Driving lanes, things like that. So definitely something to look at, something to continue to improve on. But also being able to, when we do that, teaching Dean, all right, these are the plays first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like, just being able to learn. Isaac's done a great job getting into those spaces. Now it's like, all right, the first action not there, it's the second action, the third action. It's just continuing to get to actions, and I think that's just something when we really haven't done it all year, but now that we're doing it, it's a credit to Isaac and Dean for being able to learn this throughout the fly, and it hasn't looked, bad. It's been looking pretty solid. So for us, just continuing to improve on it game by game.
Last game you came out and you were talked after the game that you were very intentional about getting your teammates involved. Tonight it seemed like you were intentional about getting yourself going. Why the difference?
Just feeling the game. You know what I mean? I kind of just picking my spots, and there were spots where I felt like I was able to hit shots, and at the end of the day, it's a balance. You know what I mean? It's not going to be perfect, but they got going. They got started scoring, so I was like, okay, I'm trying to be a little more aggressive. Then I started feeling a little hot in the second quarter, so not gonna stop. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think that was the biggest thing. And then the third, trying to do it. So just trying to pick my spots, and it's no real formula. It's just kind of what the game calls for at the time, and I think that's kind of just been my approach. So that was it.
You mentioned balance. How do you balance attacking the matchups they give you versus trying to empower your teammates?
I think the biggest thing is kind of feeling, all right, they've scored a couple. This could be a run. Let me try to get a response right here. Okay, let me get Ev right here. All right, let me see where Isaac's in the corner. Let me run this play. And sometimes it's just running a play just to see how they guard it, just to save it for later. Sometimes it's running a play just to get a guy a shot. So, like, there's a play that I remember, it looked crazy, but, like, the play was for me to get a pick and roll. They ended up trapping me at half court. I threw it to Isaac on the wing. Like, ultimately, that wasn't the play, but it was part of what I was trying to do, is get somebody a shot right there. So it's just different things, and also taking what they give you. They gave me the three, and I took it.
We've covered quite a bit about why tonight might be disappointing. But what did game two do for your outlook on the series and what is possible?
At the end of the day, game two just showed who we are. You know what I mean? And that's something we've just built on. And I think tonight we didn't make the same shots we did in game 2, but we also didn't, discourage their threes, run them off the line. Our rotations were a little bit slower today. Offense rebounds were a little, like the timely ones, you know what I mean? And I think those are the things that we didn't allow in game 2. So it's like, okay, we have game 2 as like a baseline of what is the formula, you know what I mean? And you're not always going to, make shots, but how do we do it defensively consistently and deter that? Because like I said, even though they didn't necessarily make all those threes in the first quarter, in the first half, that we allowed them to get them up. They see them. They can see it. And as a shooter, that's all you need, whether you make it or miss it. So for us, just looking at game 2 and then comparing it to game 3 and just trying to adjust a little bit. But also, we scored 93 points today, so it's obviously different than game 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.